Okay. Wasa siya til sa katyuhan. Yak siya. So let's go ahead and get started. Thinking kind of back to Thursday and our kind of immersion session. I want to start by just sort of reflecting on that a little bit. Thoughts after spending a couple days away from it. Things that you think might help you. Anything like that. Anybody got any thoughts? There's just one in the room. And then there's Dakuninach online. Anybody got any thoughts about? Things you might want to try this coming Thursday that might make it easier? Waiting for my little laptop to be set up by IT. Eager for the chance to use a mic. Didn't understand much of what you said at all. Yeah, and so when we start sort of using lots and lots of language, the key is going to be sort of trusting the process that if we just keep ourselves engaged, which hopefully, it takes a real active part, but then hopefully we're able to sort of gather more. And so I'm going to try and use visual aids. We could try and think of topics that might help us. Chukan would be really wonderful to hear you with a microphone. You could always, I guess I don't know if I shared this, but I should, is, I don't know, I didn't think of this before. There is a phone number that you could call. So if you wanted to use a phone and then use your computer to listen, it's possible. Or you could just listen, I don't know. We could try that too. And so there is a phone number on here. I don't know how it works. So that might be interesting to try. But also you could use a phone, like if you had like a smartphone or something, you could log on through that. Anyone else? Thoughts on our immersion on last Thursday and things that might help you this coming Thursday?
Were we really going to do the describing? Because if we were going to do that, maybe practicing some it eats, or he lives in, it lives in, or it, some of those phrases so that we could actually describe.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to.
Yeah. So yeah, those would be great. So some of the verbs that we would be looking at. So for eating, the photos and questions to look at. So yeah, we're going to try and use lots of visual things, and I'll try not to stray too much from that. I'll probably try just a story, and then we might listen to one, I might tell one. So for looking at animal, and we start thinking about how we can describe things. One, there's the sort of kind of the behaviors. Like, where does it live? What does it eat? What is it angry? Is it, these are some things that we could think about. So this verb is to live at a place, right? So we've learned that thing like Juno, I'm in Juno. But this verb is like to reside somewhere. In other words, like it lives in a cave. Katuk, tuk, kuya'u, right? So you get the kuya'u part. And so when we see how it's listed here as a kuya'u, that a can be replaced. So the a in this case means at that place, right? So for example, I might say shkagwe a kuya'u. And so you could use this too to say, I used to live there, but this is a really good one for animals, right? Because I could say, guksa kuya'u. Where does it make its home? Is one way you might sort of take that. Khashakach as yik kuya'u. A porcupine lives in a tree, right? And so this is not like where is it right now, but where's its home kind of a thing. So this one is pretty handy as we could start to sort of look at things. And it doesn't have to be in a particular place like a cave or something like that. You could say, Shashaki kuya'u. It lives on the mountaintop, right? And so these are some things we think about animals and we start thinking about how to describe them. This is one of the things that we could talk about. And then we go down to cha. And then this one, like dasa acha, would be what is it eating right now, right? But if you say, what does it eat regularly, acheich is the best one to use. Dasa acheich, or you could say, dasa uchaich, either one. What does it always eat? Acheich, what does it eat regularly? Dasa acheich wekit, what does a killer whale eat? And then the answer, or if we're just sort of put an animal up and we want to talk about it. For a killer whale, you could say chat acheich. You could say tsa acheich. It eats regularly seals. It eats fish, right? And so these are some. I like to say to my kids, we'll just be describing things, and they'll say, "Geta awe acheich we kuch, kach kutin adyetki." So I usually throw children in there somewhere, just for fun. But and so these are some things. The other thing that we talked about, I was talking to a group, ge. Yes, so you can use ge. So for example, I might say, Yai a ge achech we keet. Plague, right? So does a killer whale eat whales? Yai a ge achech. Right? And so the question usually comes after the thing that you want the question to focus on. Right? And so the other thing that we were talking about yesterday with the group is another way to use da-sa. So we know da-sa as a question, but another thing da-sa does is I could say wekit acheich, a killer whale eats. And now I could sort of start my list. Oops. So I could start my list. I could say sa, chat, tan, cheech. And if I'm sort of saying one of the behaviors of a killer whale is it just eats a whole bunch of stuff, I can end it with da-sa. So da-sa could come on the end of a list of things, and it's sort of like saying and other things. And we might translate that as like a killer whale eats seal, fish, sea lion, porpoise, whatever. Right? And so that da-sa at the end of a long list of things is really our way of saying, and other things, right? And on and on. And so they would use these talking about how wealthy people were, right? So a long time ago, you want to talk about how wealthy someone was. You say, Kunachwe kawa chakwe atugu, kak dugu, coach dugu, nusk dugu, sa dugu, dasa. So you'd say the furs were piled up, and then you just start naming them. And what you're doing is you're just sort of, here's a sampling, and other things, right? So those are some behavior things, right? Other things. So like, I should really do these on the board. Here, I'll do these since I'm sharing a screen. Let me use these on. So another thing we might do is, so this is describing animals. So some of the questions we might have. What does it eat? Dasa achech. Everybody say, Dasa achech.
Dasa achech.
Dasa achech.
Dasa achech.
Dasa achech.
Dasa achech.
And then for our general sort of, we'll use the killer whale as an example. Blank achech wekit. So just the order of things, we should know that the first thing we're saying is what's being eaten, right? And so there's a little bit of free word order, but the way we put it together is going to help people interpret what we're trying to say. Killer whale eats blank, right? And then you could say, and there's different ways to communicate this stuff, because if we're sort of guessing, we might say, gwash tzach achawe, gwash tzach achech wekit. Maybe a killer whale eats starfish, right? And so we can sort of speculate too with the gwash, but if we know it, then we could just say achech. The other things we could say is we could say glate, or we might say this one first, tuch yach natich ha glate. So the other thing that we're sort of saying is we know yachyati is how we describe a color, and yachyati is perfectly fine, but we say yach natich because that's how they always are. They're always black, they're always in white, right? So glate. We know we don't have to say the yach natich again. We've already said the verb, so we know that we're talking about colors. Tuch yach natich glate. The other thing, if we're talking about, let's say, kluj. So some other things we might say. So here we could say, one qanins. This means sometimes, right? The other way we could do this is different ways. We could say chu means some of them. So if we have things that are a whole bunch of different colors, or like kind of a limited set, tuch yach natich dachavu. So dachavu is the fur, the hair around it. Dachavu, dachavu. We usually use for its, and we don't always use du. I think du is fine. Du we might use more for a pet, where we get out into and similar to English, where I think some people would use his or her, but a lot of people just use its. Its is just totally fine here. Dachawu would be its fur. You could also say Quch away. Dadzechawu. So dadzechawu is now turning it into a verb. A wolf is furry. Right? So furry, it has fur. You could also say dudachawu qudziti, it exists, it has fur. Those are some things that you could say. Some other kind of descriptive verbs when it comes to different animals. Another verb that we might learn how to use is katz, for something to be sharp. Yeshakatz aya du'uch, or a'uch. It has, its teeth are sharp. These are some things that we could talk about. Chak is a claw. Uch is a tooth. So there's different sort of things that we could talk about. Another thing that certain animals do is we could say, there's a whole bunch of verbs here, but this would be, it says garden, but you could say things like akahechnuch, it digs things up. So you could say ach akahechnuch wechach, it digs up the skunk cabbage, or it digs up something if it's digging things up in the ground. There's different things that we could be sort of talking about with that. And so what I'll do is I said we were going to do these, but I didn't do it. I did something else because I forgot. But we'll do that. And so what I'll do, if I have new ones that we're using on Thursday, I'll have the English translation up on the screen so that you guys can see them. Other thoughts, things that might help. So I think what we'll do is Thursday, we're going to look at some common animals, right? Common animals. Dasa achech, what does it eat? Then we'll think about the types of things that it eats, right? There's other things you could say. So this one, I'm going to write it and I'll see if you guys can tell me what it means. Let's say, what might that mean? Datin saway al shayech dinesi. Well, okay, if it was tsagedi, so that would be a good example. Datin saway al shayech dinesi. So what are the parts that we can recognize in there?
His house.
Yeah.
How does
so,
he build
yeah.
his house? That's what
His
I
house, right. So al shayech is to construct or to make. Dat in saway, with what? What does he make his house with? Right? Or it's, or whatever, a nation. We could use do, that's really fun. So here we would say gun, right? Wood. Os, trees, right? So there's different things we could say. Dat in saway al shayech du nation. And then if it's a bird, or sometimes like maybe a squirrel, maybe a rabbit, dat in saway al shayech du kuti. Kuti, du kuti would be its nest, right? So this is the fun part, I think, where we get into use, right? Instead of saying, let's go figure out all this stuff that we've done. And then we'll use these Tuesdays as sort of strategy sessions to keep moving through the sort of the intermediate curriculum that we have, and also things that because I think one of the things that happens with language is you sort of, to get us out of the classroom mode, we got to start using it. And once we start using it, we'll realize, holy crap, there's so much of things I don't know how to say, there's a bunch of stuff being talked about I don't fully understand. And so we can come back and sort of revisit these things. And I think what kind of helps is just quickly jotting down things that, boy, I'd like to know what this thing was or how these things were working. Because I think one of the dangers, and one of the reasons I wanted to push for this, was I think a lot of folks go through Tlingit language classes and we learn how to sort of break things down and put things together, but we don't learn how to just sort of just use the language. And so trying to push for more of that. So hopefully by the end of the semester we're all talking and we're trying things out. And then my goal is to not have it really be a place where there's a lot of corrections happening. Maybe some, if it just sort of just throws something back, but to just try and open those floodgates a little bit to get the language to sort of emerge. And so these are some things too, as we're going to realize what are our needs in order to communicate. And so we'll start with descriptive things. We might do one on, so if you guys want to think of things that you want to learn how to talk about, or you want to talk about, where you feel like, or if you feel confident, like, boy, I think I would be able to talk about this thing, then let's find that. So another thing would be sort of coming and going, traveling, taking trips, going places, visiting people. Those are some things, right? What kind of news? What's the news? What's the information? What's the things that you want to, I could say, hast du ihn kananik, wasa atune yang. Go tell them what happened here, right? So those are some things. Du ihn kananik, hinatine chatiti. Go tell him I need water. Du ihn kananik kakoyach toasagu. Tell him I want coffee, right? So telling them, sending messages, these are types of things. And we got to just think, what do we do with language? What do we want to do with Tlingit language? And so the goal would be all the stuff we do on a daily basis, right? Because the other thing is if we're always studying the big stories and the big speeches, which is wonderful, but then we don't know necessarily the day-to-day stuff,
That's a good question. I don't always know, I notice whenever I tell a story, I usually set it in a time. Last week, a couple hours ago, or tomorrow, I'm going, and those, I still don't 100% understand how to use all those different time things.
Yeah, times
Or if it's used the same way in sort of Tlingit Ani, if they think about time the same way, and I need to just get over that, because I'm always trying to say, how would I say last week,
Right, so here's, so we got Yagi, and then there's different ways to say day, depending on where you're from. In Teslin, it's Yagi, Yucky in some places, Yagi, where it's sort of a softer G right there. So this is a word to sort of listen how people say it that you talk to and that you're around. So here's day, right? We could also refer to kind of daytime. So, tatke is yesterday. And then there's also certain kind of times of the day. So you can have chana, which is evening. And you have tzutat, which is morning. So now we're starting to be able to operate in sort of small chunks of time. So you could say tatke chana, yesterday evening. Tatke tzutat, so you could start pairing them together. You can have yayagi, which is today. Then you can have ziyak, a while ago, and ziyagan, a while from now. And one thing, time is generally important. I would say that time likes to be in real little chunks in English. That seems to be really important. Like last week, whereas you could just say ziyak. You could also say kliyatge. Kliyatge is the other day. So this is important, right? And so for Tlingit, the amount of time that's passed between the event and you is just sort of a little while ago or a long time ago, unless you're saying, I took the hamburger out of the fridge, right? So now it's getting important, right? Something's going to spoil, something's going to, there's the frozen cake or whatever, right? And that's the case where you might have to say that. But otherwise, there's this other thing you can say. Right? And then we can add this. Blank yaki yawachi adach. Right? So you could say, however many days have passed since. Right? And you don't even need the adach on there. Like if you're going to start a story. So you might say, Keijin yaki yawachi. 5 days have passed. And now I start telling a story and people will understand. Right? And so there's ways you can use this in the context of a story too. Right? At aya. Ade haswukuch. Hastiyak akawawach. Keijin yaki yawachi. Ake haswuti. They went over to this island. They went in their boat. Their boat broke down. They were there for 5 days, right? So you could use this one, yawachi. It's for a day to pass. That's really what it means. So you can also say, Dachyiki yawachi, akeha wutiin, aka awesh akwete wutuaat. We were there for 2 days, then we walked to Skagway, right? So it could be camping, overnighting, or just for time to pass. If you get bigger than that, then you would say shuwahich. Shuwahich would mean for something to expire, right? So you could say dechtak shuwahich. 2 years passed. You could say, here's another one you could put in there. Sundichak, between the Sundays, right? That's a week in Tlingit. So you could say, Kaik Sundichak shuwahich. 1 week passed, right? And you can use these towards the beginning as sort of time references for stuff that's happened in our daily life, right? And so tleatke is a really good one to use, or ziyak for, it was a while ago, it doesn't matter. It doesn't particularly matter. It might matter if, like, I left you a message 6 days ago, right? And so then, you can get some stuff from there. But these are really good, right? You could say, you could use this one too, so to go up, right? So you could say blank yaki yakwachi. So 3 days from now, right? Through 3 days will pass. And so now you're starting to talk about, Kwash naskiki yakwachi. Aka shitekade gachtikuch. Maybe 3 days from now we're going to go to Sitka, right? Also, differentiating between the days of the week, which can be challenging, right? So I was saying to my kids, "Gwashdakunyaki wechukandakahiti ategachtikuch anaya ashkagachtichet." And my wife said, "What do you say?" And my 4-year-old, he said, maybe in 4 days we're going to go to the field house and play. I was like, no, Thursday. No, it's called Dakunyaki is the name of that day, right? And so those are some things as we just sort of learn to differentiate between how we're talking about time, because we are forcing the issue a little bit. But we have to do that because this is how we talk about things. And so Tlingit can adjust to the ways that we talk about time. So there's a question here, is there a way to say soon or someday? Ziyagan will be soon, right? And then someday would be, I would say, chakutyaki, just another day, right? Another day. And it depends on what we're talking about, right? So I might say, hechwasaku dakyaki sawe. Jadziyagan ko'a achtuasagu, blah, 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 right? I don't know which day it will be. Hechwasaku dakyaki sawe. Ziyagan ko'a. I don't know what day it is, but sometime soon we're going to go home, right? So these are some things to talk about some uncertainty. You can do this one too. So there are certain things that we look at and they say, okay, that looks like a question. But there are certain things that are not questions, they are statements. So you could say, and that just means for many days. Right? And so we use these things in stories as well. Right? So like, they went here and however many days they were there. Right? It just indicates that we're not talking months, we're talking days. Because you could say, how many, for many months, right? It's just an indefinite number, but we know this is usually less than a month. Then the months is going to be less than a year. For many years, right? So we can use these things, because sometimes what we need to do in a narrative is make a time jump. The other way we make a time jump when we're telling a story is we'll say, and this is like a real classic way to do it in Tlingit, at some point, wanani sawe. And this is how we sort of just move from one thing to another. The other ways we can make these transitions is just using awa, right? So I'm telling a story about how my family moved down here from Fairbanks. Stakata ayi, white truck. Atude kautua jesh. Awa kone Juno day wutua kuch. Janasle aya kahayedi. Jayis atokane husati. Achawe hatuasagu gwash. Taika gwash dechga kanach wutua kuch. Akatye ye hawutien. So my family, so it's a stakata ayi, all of our things. We truck 2 day kautua jesh. We put all of our things into a truck. Awa kone juno de wutua kuch. Then, awa, it's just used to sort of move us to the next thing. We began to drive to Juneau. I can't remember how I said it. Usk took a nechusati. Our child was small, she's just a baby. We just wanted to drive for maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours. Then we wanted to stop.
Chukan wanted you to translate that one.
Oh, yeah, wanani sawe. At some point. At some point.
Is it talk shuachich? Or is it shu or sha? Shawachich?
Oh, whoops, thank you. Yeah, it should be shu. Thank you. And then shuachich could also mean like, it just means it ended. Because you could say, Yewe hashuachich.
What does that one mean again? Because you didn't put it in parentheses around there.
Whoops. So, yagi yawachi, how many days have passed? Tauk shuachich, how many years have passed? Right? So you might say, Kekakadech tauk shuachich, Tlingit ayakonesh tu. 22 years have passed from when I started studying Tlingit. Right? And then Sunday ak shuhi, weeks to pass. Yak kwachi, days will pass. And so yawachi, that one is a really dynamic, it just means for a day to pass, but it could also mean for people to stay at a certain place. Right? So if they were, we took this big camping trip, so we walked along the Taku River, and we knew all these place names, right? So we could say, Siknach, Dachyagi, Yawachi, for 2 days at this place, Siknach, Brown Bear, or Black Bear Bay. Other things that are going to help us. Anything else?
Can I just ask, related to time, is there anything for like early or late? I'm early.
Yeah.
So it's like, I use a lot. Mostly late.
I got called out at a funeral over on Sunday. Like, and then we'd get together and we'd wait for Lance because he was always late. I was like, whoa! That's okay. That's okay. I can't dispute it. Well, let me pull up, and I'll put this up on our site so that we have it. Because I was thinking about this because I think students often reach this point where they want to use the language a lot, and then time becomes it's this thing. You have to know kind of how to talk about time. So we get this illustration. And the different components of this illustration. The first one, the top is looking at concepts of what I'd call big time. Hey, Mr. Big Time, right? So, Yesu is now. Yesu can also be used yidat, right? So I'm telling some story about a long time ago. My grandpa wanted me to learn Tlingit. Yidat ayashinkit. Shtuchas Yesu. And so Yesu is a pretty fun one. And we remember Yesu because, Yakwachi. Let me back up. Ayaw Tiskhin. Yakwachi, yes, days will pass. Right? So I might say, Chunyaki Yakwachi Sawe. How many days will we be here? So Yesu, so Yidat means now. So you could say Yidat Ewe, right now. Now though. Or I could say Yidat Tlingit, the Tlingits of today. Yidat Cake, the dogs of today. Yidat Kanata, the berries, the blueberries of today. Yesu, so Yesu, the way that Yesu works, if it pops up before the verb, it means the verb is happening now, right? Yesu awe achin akanik adata we gao. He's telling me about time right now. If Yesu comes after the verb, it means the verb is still happening, right? Let's say I'm talking, you left, came back an hour later, like, you're still talking, right? And so, like, yeah, you talk all night. So then we have adach or itnach or aqah. The way that we use these, and we're talking about the ways, the sequences and orders, right? A shukat before it, right? And it gets complicated if you want to say things like, before I was born, before I saw it. Those are really hard things to do. But just sort of straight time, like this thing happened first, this happened second, right? So a shukat is saying in front of it, which is saying before. Yesu is now. Adach means following, after it, from it. Itach means also after it. Aqah means following it. They're slightly different. They would usually have aweh after it, right? For example, I might say, Dana, achchitawati, Adach awe hundaka hittite chogu. He gave me money. And then I went to the store. But the adach is saying, from that, like because of, it's a little bit of because of that, right? Adach awe. So there's a little bit of a tie. You know, since he gave me money, I went to the store. Itnach means, so adach means away from it. And it could mean away from that time or since that time, right? Because it could be since as well, right? So you could say, Achshishk chanakawanik heshtasa ayanach atutletzin hayuch atangi adach away Tlingit shtichel tunuch. My grandpa told me, or my grandma, there's nothing more valuable than the Tlingit language. Since then, adach away, since then, I study it all the time. Itnach, or itdach, it could be either one, means to follow something, right? Itch is to follow. Ach itch nagu, walk behind me, follow me. Ach itch nagu, follow me. Itdach, right? Itnach, either one. And that means just a sequence of events. This happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Right? Hadewugut. Itnach, Hajit, Awati, Dana. He came here, and then he gave us money. Aqa away is a way to sort of say, like that silly movie, Dude, Where's My Car? Wait, and then, this is the and then. Aqa away. It just means following that. Right? So, adach and itnach seem to tie it a little bit, like there's a little bit more cause and effect. Aqa away is just generally, and then, whatever. Right? So this is another way we make, because when we tell stories, we don't say every single thing, we pick things. So aqa away is one way we transition to the next thing. Right? So you could say, achititewu kuch, aqa away. She came to my house, and then I was happy to see her, or whatever, right? And it could just be just totally moving on to kind of something else, but there's a little bit of a trail that we're following. Chatlak means all the time. So if you're going to say chatlak, if there's a verb after it, eventually we're going to have to learn these repetitive verbs. You're going to hear nooch in there, or I was always going around I was always cruising in my car. I'm always cruising in my car. So the chatak means it's always happening, all the time. And then we're going to get some sort of repetitive verb after it. And the repetitive ones, they're a little tricky, and we'll get to them. But just remember that thing, right? And you could just sort of say, you could just say it too, like just tuck away all the time. And then these tie into the days as well. Like tuk yagi is every day. Tuk yagi. Tuk yagi shukwayach toasaku kakwechatanai. Every day, the first thing I want is to drink coffee. Or whatever.
Saying pluck.
Tuk. So just tuk on its own. It's right here in the circle.
Okay. Gotcha.
So tuk means always. Tuk means all the time. But you could say tuk yagi every day. Tuk yagi ejachanich. I work every day. Right. Shtakat yagi. So shtakat means all. Tuk means always. Tuk yagi is every day, every single day. Shtakat yagi is all through one day. Right? Tuk yagi kakwe chadana. I drink coffee every day. Shtakat yagi kakwe chadana. I drink coffee all day. Tuk yagi shtakat yagi kakwe chadana. I drink coffee all day, every day, right? But they're slightly different things. Okay? So here's the gao is the clock. Gao shukat, I'm early. Gao yach, I'm on time. Gao it, I'm late. Gao it, right? And so we see how that works. Gao shukat, before the drum. Gao yach, like the drum. Gao it, following the drum. That's how it works. Takyaki shag de wut. Every day, the shag de wut. Is that trouble? Every day there's trouble. Okay. So then we get into concepts of kind of the big forevers. So starting from long ago up until now, this is kind of how this stuff works. So we get klak. The difference between klak and chak is klak is a time nobody can really remember. Not at all. It's going back into this ancient kind of memory. Right? So you'd say, Klak away. Yesh kudzati. Raven was born. The world was forming. This would be dinosaurs and mammoths. This could also be all the way back to ancient time when the world was first forming. And this could also be probably like 200-300 years ago, because we can't really articulate what was going on. Is long ago, but it's still in our memory banks, right? It's in people's as sort of more tangible kind of memories. Gao is drum, and Gao is clock, Gao is bell, Gao is hour, like an hour. So in this case, Gao is usually referring, you can say the drum, but it's usually referring to the clock when we talk about being on time, being late, being early.
So Shukun also asked if she's running late, could she text Gao Itk?
Yep, Gao Itk, and just saying that. And then, Gao Itk Yechetna teach, I'm always late. Yechetna teaches, I am always that way. Okay? Yeyeti, Gao Itk Yeyeti. Gao Itk, Chish. Okay. So there's chak, kliyatak. So kliya means like the other, right? Kliyatak, the other year, some years ago. Kliyadis, some months ago. Kliyatke, the other day, right? The other day, the other month, the other year. So we see the kliya, and then the kliyadis, kliyatak, kliyatke. Ziyak is a while ago. Yidat is right now. Ziyagan is a while from now. Seqan or seqanan is tomorrow. Then we can go further into those, but then chutleich is forever. Chuk always, chutleich forever, right? So these are the concepts of time. Let's take a look at smaller time. Oops. And then I'll make sure this illustration is up in case it's really small on your screens, right? So we got kliyatke, tatke, kleya kat. What is that? 2 days ago. Tatke is yesterday. Nisdat, last night. You can say tatke chana, yesterday evening. Tatke tzutat, yesterday morning. You could say seqan and chana, tomorrow evening. Seqan and sitgasan, tomorrow at noon, right? So then you got the day. You've got qiyah, which is the dawn, or qiqeh, which is the daybreak. So you start with the daybreak. Tzutat is the morning. Sitgausan is noon. Then you're in this sort of just yagi territory. When the sun sets, you get chana until the time that a lot of people, when it's time to put the kids to bed, that's tat. However you raise your kids. I can tell you how to do it. Then tat sitgausan is midnight. If your kids are up by then, I don't know, we have to talk. Just kidding. And seqanin kliya akadin, day after tomorrow. So there's specific words for those, but I don't know if anybody really uses them. Seqan is about as far as people usually go. But these are things we're going to have to use to be able to talk about when are we going to this? What are we going to do here? Then we get into the months, the days of the month, and then also, we've got all of that stuff mapped out. And so in terms of living with the language, understanding time, how to ask questions, how to start putting these sort of basic descriptive things together, these will really help us in terms of getting some useful language. Other thoughts? Is everybody okay?
You said, how would you say, before I was born? You said that you used to use.
Yeah. So the way that you say that is so the way that it kind of breaks down is so this is how you'd say before I was born. So ch is kind of a little particle. The L is from tleish. Means I might. Well, we gotta get into. Let's just look at a verb first, and we'll look at the verb to exist. So when we talk about this verb to exist, T, we get a million things under T, and we got born, and we get these ones here. So what we call a perfective habitual is the way it says it's that every time, right? Uchaych. Uchaych would mean I eat, like let's say chat uchaych. Chat achech means he eats fish. Chat uchaych means he eats fish all the time, like at nearly every meal, right? So the degrees of repetition here is what we're talking about. When we get into this, and they got big fancy names, all you got to remember is it's like that every time. Yechat netich. That's just how I am. I'm like that. And that's why you say uch yach natich. It's black all the time. A killer whale, right? Chukastich. It exists all the time, right? So this could be something, I don't know. Adawut chukastich, drama chukastich, right? That's how it works. Kesh chukastich. When you go to the negative form of that, it means it hasn't happened yet. So, not thinking about how it gets put together, because it gets complicated. We'll just deal with perfectives and futures and stuff. But there are these, and how to use them is you would put ch in front of it. The tesh contracts to just the letter L, and then you put a suffix on the end. And then that would change to a K for me, right? Before I was born. That's how you get it, right?
Pizza achtua gaskuch.
Yeah, I want pizza all the time, right? And so there's another one that segu is like to talk about things that you want like all the time, right? And we get down here and we find this one, right? Or whoops, ach tu wakascooch, right? I want it all the time. Kasach tu wakascooch. I haven't wanted it yet. So it's such a weird thing to think of. And so it reveals things about the logic of the language. We're going to have conversations about all this stuff, how it gets so complicated, right? And it does. But one of the things that Aki Shawu, Carrie Eggleston did that was really brilliant was saying, these are the ones you really need to be able to communicate. You need to know how to use these things. Because you're going to hear them. You're going to encounter them, and your brain's going to have to figure out what those different parts are. You catch that CH on the end. You know we're into this habitual thing, right? We just know it. And there's a couple of things that need to happen for it to get there. We're not going to worry about it a whole lot. Kakwe ach tuwa gaskuch. Yeah, you know, and so some speakers might be more familiar with this too. Just putting the nooch at the end, right? And so this, we had a generation of students. This was probably 3 cycles ago, kind of when I first came here to UAS. And someone would say something in English, right? It's like someone would say, we're going for lunch, I ain't got no money. And someone would say, nooch. And they just throw it at them like that, right? It's not grammatically correct. But they would do it just to tease each other, but just to sort of use it. But that nooch can pop up at the end of a lot of verbs just to say it's always like that, right? Okay, anything else? So these conversations are great. We find our own gaps and we try to fill those gaps. And then we try to put this stuff to use. This is one of the big risks with Tlingit is that you don't engage with the stuff that you learn. And it just becomes this sort of thing where you end up knowing about Tlingit. Like, oh yeah, they've got classifiers and they say nooch sometimes, you know, they're always saying nooch, right? But then to be able to get your brain to put that stuff together, it takes that, you know, it's sort of like if we just talked about riding bikes, but we never rode bikes, right? You know. Okay. Whoosh tin, that's a good question. So we saw this, let me say it, before I was old. Oh, and let me do one more. So you could say, for me, and it would be different for Yedok Chat. I think we talked about this one. Do we know what that means? Yedok Chat Sati Yidach. Kendrick Lamar said this ever since I was a young man. It's in his song. Yedach chet sati yidach. So that dach part can go directly onto a verb. Right? So there's, yeah, exactly. So there's a couple things. One is the classifier is going to change because it's kind of changing it into a bit of a noun. Then the dach would mean from that time. And there's different ways you could do this too. Like you don't have to attach it directly to that verb. Yedach chatzati. Adach aweh. From that time. So that adach and ade, they're to and from time as well. So we've got wooch and whoosh. These are basically, as far as I can tell, they're interchangeable. I hear speakers say, and some of them prefer certain ones, right? They both mean together. And then we've got this one that has all these different variations. Teen, ten, ten, een. And this one means what? Teen, ten, een. With, absolutely. So there's different ways we can use this. So we could say, Achta tin hundaki hitidik kakwagut. I'm going to go to the store with my mom. Achtuasagu kahwe weishenuksi cleotin. I want coffee with sugar. Taklin shechwachich. I clubbed him or her with a hammer. Right? And so it's just with, right? It could be with people. So whatever comes before it, that's what it's with. Right? On 10. Achina kawanik. He or she told me with anger. Right? You put them together, and it means being together, right? Being together. And so you can have wooch, wooch in. You can have whoosh tin. And they just mean to do something together. So you could say, I want to talk together. We're going to work together. So wujin just means to do, just being together is all it means on its own. But it usually comes before something else. Or it could just, it depends on the context, right? So we might say, and someone might say, whoosh tin. And so I say, we're going to work on our language. And someone says, together. And so they might be communicating some things to me, like, maybe I tend to do it by myself. Maybe I tend to not involve people. Or maybe they're just saying kind of in unity, right? And so that whoosh in, whoosh tin, there's a variation that's a little different. Whoosh tends to go with in, whoosh tends to go with tin. You generally don't say whoosh tin or whoosh in. There's something that goes on there. Again, with this tin variation, I haven't figured it out. There might be a pattern, there might be just a personal preference thing. But another thing you could say is whoosh jain. And this one is a little bit different. So this means our hands together, but it really just means working together. Whoosh jain. And this is, someone told me this is what they used to holler when you're getting ready to pull the totem pole up, because everybody's got to pull together. Right? So there's some things that really work as in terms of metaphor and other things like that. Okay. Okay, well, let's take a little break, and then we'll get to more translation exercises, and then we're going to start playing spot the verb stem, what are the different parts of the verb. Yeah, so.
Can I ask just a really, really quick question
Sure.
about that first sentence, before I was born? Whatever you say after that, would it be in the straight up way you would conjugate and say, like if I wanted to say, before I was born, my mom worked in a library. If I said my mom worked in a library, that would be conjugated probably just like imperfective, but can it stay that way if you're starting with that before I was born?
It should go perfective, right? Just like you went past tense when you said it in English.
Right, that's what I meant.
Because, yeah, same, but then it depends. Usually it's going to go perfective, or what we call perfective decessive. So, for example, she used to work. So it just depends on whether she still does it now or not. So most people would just go straight with the perfective. But it depends on what you're talking about. Because it's like, if we're talking about your mom who's deceased now, you would use those decessive verbs usually. But, yeah, the short answer is it would be perfected.
Okay. It's never the short answer.
Okay, take 5. We'll come back and we'll do some translation. It'll be fun. Okay. Everybody doing okay? So let's start translating some stuff from English to Tlingit and just sort of tinkering a little bit more with some different ideas. And if you have ideas for phrases that we could work on that would help you, feel free to send them my way. Okay, so I am thinking. Anybody know that one? Isakukshe. I am thinking. Yuchatank would be I am talking. So the Yutuchatank. Everybody say Yutuchatank.
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 So we see the U on one side and the K on the other. This should signal that it's something that's happening in sort of a repetitive back and forth process. Or it just happens regularly, right? Yuchattiwasak, there's another one. Yutuchatank. It's just something that a thought is not a singular thing, right? In Tlingit. I am thinking about you. Say it one more time. Well, so there's the thinking part. Yutuchatank. We got to get the about you. I am thinking about you. Ituchatank. But, and so this is one where it's not going to take an object. So there's the da. Oops. There's all of them. Oh no. Okay. Well, here we go. So there's Yutuchatank. And then here's all of them. Okay. So fine. I forgot I didn't do this one wrong. Yutuchatank. I am thinking about you. I'm thinking about work too much. Yutuchatank. I am thinking about work too much. Way too much. I am talking. Yuchatank. So the t is inside. The ch is a mouth. So it changes. Tuchatank. Chatank. I am talking to my dad. Ach ish tin yuchatank.
You just went blazing through because I think they're all there.
Oh, okay.
But can we just
Sure, okay.
If I am thinking about you, idat you tuchatank. So if you were saying I am thinking about dinner, would that be idat you tuchatank?
I'm thinking about food.
Or I'm thinking about food.
Chana etcha yidat yutuchatank. That's I'm thinking about dinner.
One more time.
Chana etcha yidat yutuchatank. So yeah, the dot yutuchatank. Now we've got to fill in the blank thing with
That's
the
what
idat, right? So blank dot.
I'm thinking about.
Right? So how about I'm thinking about them?
Has.
hus, not hus dot, because we have I dot. And anybody else? I'm thinking about them. Hus d dot, hus d dot, you tuchatunk. I'm thinking about kahwe. Kahwe dot, you tuchatunk. Ja'ach dot, you tuchatunk. I'm just thinking about my dog. So there's all kinds, whatever. It could be there's the dot. Ha dot, you tuchatunk. I'm thinking about us. We need to talk. And so we see the pattern. So we also have yejene. You can say yejene or ach yejenei. Yejene dot, you tuchatunk. I'm thinking about work. Ashun dot, you tuchatunk. I'm thinking about hunting. Aunt dot, you tuchatunk. I'm thinking about shooting. Atyahayi kadishahid dot, you tuchatunk. I'm thinking about making art. Kunstklein dot, you tuchatunk. I'm thinking about a big potato. Whatever. So then the tach kodach, we put those together to be like way too much, right? Tach kodach yejnei dot, you tuchatunk. So tach we should know as very. Kodach is too much. So you could have tach kodach and you could have tach konach. So then, there's only a few cases where you could kind of stack them up like that. Yeah, so how would I say, I'm thinking about philosophy. We talked about philosophy. I think it's love of knowledge is what philosophy translates to. So you could say, Atwasku. Atwasku dutzechan dot yutachatunk. I'm thinking about a love of knowledge. Or I'm thinking about love of people. Chesechan dot yutachatunk. And someone at Chukan asks us, how would you say, what are you? So I'll give you this part. So the tuchatunk changes to you. Well, we got to find that part first. So we go down to tan, and here's da, you, to tun. So this is it. Right? And when we see this in the theme, en, da, that's just a noun, any noun. E dot, something dot, da. So we get tiyatunk, there's the you part, right? Tuwatunk, to do-watunk, tuchatunk. Before we get to end, you gotta say, Kesh eda you tuchatunk. I don't think about you. So, I'm not trying to encourage you to be mean. Sometimes you gotta be able to tease. Okay. So if tiyatunk, you tiyatunk, is your thinking, how would I say, what are you thinking about? It's going to end with dot, you tiyatunk.
Dot you what?
Dot, you tiyatunk. You are thinking about it. But what are you thinking about? Anybody got a guess? Dasa dot. Yeah, away. Dasa dot. You tiyatunk. What are you thinking about? Right? There's. I'll put this one right here. there's this phrase that we can use, and I want to put it, it kind of has special kind of use and meaning. Dasa itu wuch. And so this one is kind of, it depends on context, right? So usually, let's say we're in a group and someone asks us, or someone says, I'm hungry. Are you guys? Where do you want us to eat? And I might say, salt. Achtuasagu. Dasa ituwuch. I want to go to salt. How about you? What do you feel? How do you feel? What do you want? Dasa ituwuch could be translated as, how do you feel? What do you think? What do you want? So I would hear the elders use this a lot when I would ask them how to say something, and it might be kind of a complicated thing. And then they'll put it together, and one of them might turn to another one and say, Dasa ituwuch, which would just be like, what do you think about it? And then he might, the other one might say, Yuk-a, like, it's good. Or they might offer some other way to say it, right? So, Dasa ituwuch, how do you feel about it? So these are some things that we use to communicate, right? Okay. Then we get down there too. So the verb could change. Yuchatunk, I am talking. Yuchiatunk, you are talking, right? So how would I say, I'm talking about my cat? Yep, achdushi.yuchatunk, right? So yeshkashniki.yuchatunk. I'm talking about a raven story. Etuwuch age ayatiskin. Yeah, etuwuch age would be like, do you agree? Do you think so as well? Ach ishtin yuchatunk. I'm talking with my dad, to my dad, right? Usually with is the better way to think of it in terms of Tlingit. I'm talking to just some other dog. I don't know why I like weird sentences. It's just kind of fun. Oh, ituwuchake. Ituwuchake would be, I would translate that as, do you feel the same? Is that how you feel? Right? And so it kind of depends on context like that. So ituwuch is pretty hard to translate, but it generally means your feeling or your thoughts. So for example, I might say, so let's say someone comes up and they try to put a sentence together. And I might suggest a correction, but then I'll turn to a speaker and say, Etuuchiga, and I'm asking if they agree. Etuuchiga usually talks about agreement, yep. And it's really just saying do you feel the same? It's kind of, a shortcut. I'm talking quietly. There's a way to talk, to whisper and stuff, but that katkinach just means quiet. And we might recognize that there's a verb root in there, when we say shishkat, shut up, quiet yourself, which you gotta be careful with. It could be rude. But katkinach means to do something quietly, right? Katkinach atnaku, walk around quietly. Like if somebody, like a baby sleeping or something, right? Let's see if I did this one right. Okay. So we got you are talking. How would we say you are talking? You. What's going to come after that? You tunk. Everybody say you tunk.
You tunk.
You tunk.
You tunk.
You are talking. You are talking too fast. Anybody know that one? We got a guess? Qudach yasatk yuqiyatunk. So everyone say Qudach
Kudach.
yasatk
Yasatk.
yuqiyatunk.
You tunk.
So when we start talking about fast and slow, there's an adverb and there's a verb. So you could say Klauk yuqiyatunk. You're talking quickly. But we got to be careful because sometimes Klauk yuqiyatunk means talking angry. Yasatk just means to be fast. And there's actually a verb. You could say yasatk. They're a fast talker. Right? So yasatk means fast. And same with so kashtegeinach is slow, slowly, right? Klok is quickly or fastly. Yasatk is to be fast. Yasatkawe kanaltzak. Squirrels are fast. Chatayat usatk. I'm not fast, right? And so it's a verb. It gets conjugated like a verb. And then it could just attach to other things. Kashtegeinach is to do something slowly. Shit'iyak is to be slow. Shit'iyak owe tanuch. A turtle is slow. Shit'iyakuk. Don't be slow. So you can conjugate the verbs. The other ones can attach to verbs to talk about how they're doing them. But some of them, when they attach, they can also mean other things. Like kak can be associated with anger when you're talking. You were talking about boats. Anybody want to try that one? Yak dot, oops. How did that happen? Yak dot yu tunk. The name in Tlingit for Yakutat is Yak dot. How would you say you're talking about boats in Yakutat? Yak dot away, yak dot yu tunk. Which is fun. They started a canoe group in Yakutat. And with Achki kawe shakao I shetu asak. Konakti tuasaku hasayasaku. Hasayasa. Yakdat. About the canoe in Yakutat. So they're a little different though. It's not Yakdat. It's a little different. Okay. She or he is talking. Anybody want to try that one? Anybody online want to try that one? Yauk dat yik, yauk dat yuchiyatunk. So, well, the yik part, so the B in Yakutat would say yauk dat. We just use the part on there. Yauk dat. I don't know why I keep doing that. Chayatunk, yeah, you chayatunk, he or she is talking. We're going to say, you chayatunk.
You chayatunk.
You chayatunk.
You chayatunk.
She or he is talking loudly in the library. Do we know how to say library?
Kuk, datu kuk dakahiti.
Datu kuk dakahiti, ye'owa. That is library. Do we know how to say loudly?
Shagao.
Ye'owa. So shagao is to be loud. Shagao dain is loudly, right? Shagao, shagao dain, ye'owa. So how would we put it together? And the word order is somewhat negotiable here. Okay. And so the two dakahiti yich shagao dain yuch ayatunk. And we've got our little he'eh moment, so you could say shagao dain yuch ayatunk the two dakahiti yich. So the yich part we want to add because it's in the building. So it's not just, because if you say the two dakahiti, we're like, the inside is better because we have a librarian among us, so this is an important sentence, right? And so it depends, right? What's the most important information? They're talking loudly in the library, right? So usually in English takes care of this with stress, right? So we say, they're talking loudly in the library, right? So we would put the stress on the in the library part, right? For example, another example would be Jill kissed Jim in the park. So where I put the stress tells you what's you like. I'm like, Jill kissed Jim in the park. Jill kissed Jim in the park. Jill kissed Jim in the park. Jill kissed Jim in the park, right? So the stress is how English elevates what's important. Tlingit does it by putting the information in the front. They were talking loudly in the library, right?
Could you say kudach lagaudain?
Yeah, kudach lagaudain. Yeah, kudach lagaudain, right?
She is talking too loudly in the library.
Right. And this is another one where you got lagaudain yuchayatunk, but you could also say kudach icheshkau. You're too loud with your talking. Cheshkau could be to just be talking loud. But yeah, kudach shagaudain yuchayatunk. You are talking too loud. Too loudly. Okay. She is talking, let's say with my paternal uncle on the beach. Anybody want to try this one? And word order is negotiable. I think I see a laughing, crying, a smiling, crying emoji. She is talking loudly to my paternal uncle on the beach while inside a library. We'll just stick to these things. She is talking to my paternal uncle on the beach. Yuchayatunk. What's my, what did I say? Paternal uncle.
Achsani.
Achsani. Tin. Right, with. What's on the beach? Not what's on the beach, but how do we say on the beach? Nich away or nich kach. Either way, nich kach, nich away, achsani tin yuchayatunk. Again, the word order could move around. The most important stuff goes on the front, right? Achsani tin yuchayatunk nich. Nich kach. Right? Yuchayatunk achsani tin nich. Yuchayatunk nich achsani tin. Oops. I am all night. I am dancing. Anybody know that one? Ja'asa.
Chachlech.
Achatech. Yeah, oops. Achatech. So dancing is one that's we're always gonna have a low tone on it. There's always gonna be an A on the front. Achatech. Yik A. I am dancing with my wife.
Would it be tin shohat? Or at the end?
So that the tin has to come after whatever it's with. Achatech achweif tin. Yeah, oh. Achshatin achatech achshatin. Right? So in Hawaii they use the he'e, the octopus, to say it can move either way. Right? People are giving me a weird look. I'm like, it's my wife, right? It's like, so the achshatin might come first, right?
But
And then
you couldn't put tin before is basically what you're saying. You couldn't say
you can't just say tin.
with my wife like you
Yeah.
say it in English.
Tin achshat, right? It's just,
So
it doesn't,
my wife with.
yeah.
It's hard to,
It always must come after. We call them post positions. So if you need to practice, just start doing that with English. Like, where's my cup? Table on? I'm like, what? Table on? I don't have to. Okay. I am dancing in new shoes. Well, it would be with. Right? We just got to remember how. Because you'd say in, but in Tlingit you don't say in the shoes unless it's like a giant shoe. And you're like totally inside of it. There was an old lady. Ye'awa weshawachan kudzati. Tiltain tuch yeku. Shidhini aya. Kadiyetki. Katashawasku wasa'at kukone. What happened after that? There wasn't a lady who lived in a shoe. She had so many children. She didn't know what to do. I can't remember how it ends. She
murdered them all.
Right?
No, I'm kidding.
Hasawa'in. There you go. I'm dancing with new shoes.
Yeast, shoes, tin.
Oh, yeast shoes tin. All right. Yeast teeth tin achat eich. Right? Yeast auch tin achat eich. Ach yek eik udasi tin achat eich. Right? I mean, I'm dancing to a great song because you had some suggestions in this one. And there's certain words that I think we're going to have to do away with when we move into Tlingit. Favorite, best friend, get out of it. I mean, you could make it, but I think you'd have to manufacture it. I'm dancing to a great song. You're going to get the tin or the een again. That's going to happen. How would we say great song? Yak at shetin achatech. So yak would be a good something. You could also say ak at shetin achatech. So this is, and so like say a song comes on the radio. Yak at she. This is a good song. Right? Achatech. I am dancing for my father. Yewe would Tlingit the cheeky. Yewe would do ach. Ya kagwantani yatki shukach adi yatki. So we hear them calling us out for our father's people.
Yes, ach ish.
Ach ish, yes.
Ach ish.
Achatech or achatech, ach ish, yes. Could go either way. And I am all night. It's like something Batman might say.
Could you say could you pronounce that, the I am dancing?
All right, everybody say achatech. 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 Okay, that's the last one. Then we're going to crash through something else. I am dancing all night. Tat kanach. Achatech. So tat is night. Kanach is over. Yagi kanach throughout the day. Tat kanach throughout the night. You can also say chanach. I'm not exactly sure why, but chanach can also be said to say throughout the day or the night, right? Okay. Okay. So, shtakat, yeah, all night. Shtakat kanach aya akkoshka. I'm gonna gamble all night. It's bingo, it's cards. Okay, so now let's go the other way. Let's go from Tlingit to English. This first one, achtach ach ish asachan. Dasawit lekach enach achtach ach ish asachan. My mom, and so we don't, yes, so my mom loves my dad. But what we have here, and so we see that CH and we start thinking repetitive, but in this case, it's just saying who's doing the verb, right? Because you could say, Achta ach ish asachan, my father, but usually what's going to happen, and you could move them around. Asachan, ach ish asachan away, achtach. But usually when you got two of them like that, one of them should get a CH. And that just shows who's doing it, right? So it's a different type, it just sounds the same. Okay?
So would that be ach, ish? How would you say ish?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah?
My father does it, right? Ach ish. Ach ish. My father made this chair. Yuhin de kakwagut. Yuhinde kukwagut. Dasawit le kakinacho.
I'm walking to the water over there.
Yeah, aware. She or he will go to the water over there. Right? And hinde is something really interesting because it could mean they're going to walk into the water. It could, that's usually how I would, because if you say you're going to go to the edge of the water, you'd usually say, Yuhin chayachte. Chayach is the edge of the water. If it's not the ocean. If it's the ocean, it's different. Because we're ocean people, so the ocean always gets its special terms. Wehi nachya nekuch. Wehi nachya nekuch. Dasawit lekach enacho.
Around the water?
You're not
Walking around the water? Oh, boating along.
boating across or along that river. Hinach yenakuch, right? To go along the water. Hinach is going along the water. Kahweka hundaka hitite wugut. Kahweka hundaka hitite wugut.
We are going to the coffee house, Chukan.
Okay, Chukan.
Chukan, sorry.
That is close, but we've got hundakahiti, so that tells us that's a store. Kahwe ka hundakahiti de wugut. So there's the wugut. So if we were going or went, it would be watua'at.
You're going to the store for coffee.
Yep. We're on our track. So we've got wugut as opposed to kukwagut. And then so watua'at would be we went. Gachtu'at would be we're going to go. But what would wugut be? She or he went to the store for coffee. Right? So there's the qa, that's what they went after. Qatqa hundaka hiti de wugud. She or he went to the store for pilot bread. Shinuksitleqa hundaka hiti de wugud. Went to the store for, what did I say? Sugar. Jack Daniels qa now dakahiti de wugud. She or he went to the liquor store for Jack Daniels. Chasha chasha in wetas awachash. Chasha chasha in wetas awachash. Dasawet lekach enachqa.
She or he cut the thread with scissors.
Yeah, away. She or he cut that thread with scissors. Chasha chasha in wetas awachash. Okay. Ach at yes chwa'u. Ach at yes chwa'u. Dasawet lekach enachqa.
Something with our maternal aunt.
Well, maternal aunt is there. Not with, or else it would be achat in.
Four.
Yes, 4. So what is chwa'u?
We wahooed.
Chwa'u. I bought it for my paternal aunt. Chwa'u is to buy. Right? This is where it gets a little interesting. If we throw ye in front of that verb, we have to use or to wear. Kudas yechwa'u. I wore a shirt. Shanachwa'i yechwa'u. I used an axe. It's the exact, so the ye changes the verb. But, sometimes we hear that verb or we learn it, we always think of wearing, like clothes, but it really just means to use. Hajik anak haskaudik eat. Hajik anak haskaudik eat.
Does that mean like they have with them the X with the thing on it, like the location?
So, well, there's the ha in front of it, so the X is a location.
But it's not to have. It's not.
Well, haji,
Yeah.
haji, it's in our possession. Right, we have it.
Right. That's
Right. Haji.
that's as far as that's all I know.
Then the second part, anak. Anak. Anak in Inupiaq means poop, but anak, which is two separate words, means to leave it behind. So it's different than away from it, right? Because there's this thing you could say, I'm not going to leave you behind. Or you could say, they left without me, right? And this one, you could also say, Hanakhugut, and that could sometimes mean somebody passed away. Hajik anak haskaudik. This one comes, it was in a speech by Kitchnach, which was made into a song by Qutch Shayi, which a lot of people know, Tsu Heide Shukach Tutan. So Tsu Heide Shukach Tutan, we are going to open Yayakuske Dakate, this box of wisdom, Hajik anak haskaudik eat. So haskaudik eat literally means they all went together. They all traveled together. But when you say anak haskaudik eat, you're saying they died off from this. So in that speech, he was saying this box of wisdom is what he was referring it to, that they left in our possession. But they all died off from it, but they made sure that it was in our possession. So it was a very powerful sort of construction, but we see how these things sort of get put together to create meaning. So the last thing we'll do tonight in these last 2 minutes is I'm going to move through these pretty quickly and just play spot the verb. There's a verb in each of these. So when we start with achtlach, achish, asachan, where's the verb? Asachan. Yuhinde kekwagut. Where's the verb? Kekwagut. But I'm going to throw the day in there because the day has to go towards something. Right? And so this is when we start thinking about motion verbs more. Dekwagut, dachkwagut, nakwagut, right? So we can use these, right? Yohin dachkwagut. I'm going to walk out of that water, right? Wehinachya nakuch. Where's the verb? Nachya nakuch, right? So the nach, it's a directional thing. I'm just going to throw it in there. But yanakuch is the verb, right? Kachwekahun dakahiti dewugut. Dewugut, ye owe. Kasha kasha inwe tasawachash. Awachash. Ach at yeschwa'u. Chwa'u. Ye owe. Hajik anak haskaudik eat.
Cheap. Cheap. That's in our possession.
Just tat kanachaya. Yehakakwati. We'll be here all night. Where's the verb in this one? Where's the verb? Nakhaskaudakit. And so haskaudakit is just the verb. But I would throw nak on there because it just makes it a different thing. Sometimes when you put something else in front of it, it just changes the whole meaning. This was good. I think we got a lot of things as far as answering questions and moving through this. Thursday, we're going to do an immersion class. And I just want us to think of it as just we're doing class without English. Not like you're expected to make huge speeches in this important Tlingit environment, right? So just, we're going to be max chillin', working on some things. You okay?
And you'll post something that says like scales and claws and digging and...
Yeah, so I will make a little
Look at before class.
cheat sheet. I will put it up by tomorrow night on our website. Nischi Shuhan Yakecha.